Welcome to All Bodies on Bikes, the podcast, where all bodies are good bodies, all bikes are good bikes, and all rides should be celebrated.
All Bodies on Bikes is a movement to create and foster a size-inclusive bike community. So join your hosts, I'm Maggie.
And I'm Marley.
As we explore the complexities of the biking world, help us break down barriers and create the world that we want to see. And don't forget that all bodies really means all bodies, not just larger bodies, but bodies of all sizes, ages, races, abilities, genders, sexualities, and beyond.
Come along for the ride. Welcome back to the All Bodies on Bikes podcast.
Yay!
Yeah, we took a little summer vacation.
We did.
Did you get up to anything fun?
I did not. I had a week off while we were off, but it was ending 2 jobs to start a new one.
Oh,
and I was so anxious because I'd been working 2 jobs for like a year and a half and then just didn't have anything for a week. So I just like sat in my apartment going, I feel like I'm doing something really wrong because I don't have anything to do.
Yeah, that's always such a weird feeling when you're just like, or like during the COVID times when it shut down and it was like, what do I do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
But it's good to be back.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. We are glad to be here. What did you do? Did you do anything fun recently?
A little thing called ragbri.
Just rode my bike across the state.
Yeah, which I was like kicking myself because there were so many like fascinating people and stories that I wanted to capture that we're going back next year. I say we because I'm bringing you on the road with me.
I'm excited.
And we're going to get some audio. I did manage to get a little bit of audio. We were in a church.
Great.
They were letting us, take refuge from the 100-degree heat. And so me and my friend Maggie, actually, that I met on the ride.
She must be excellent.
She is excellent. We stood in line for ice cream. It was like an hour-long line for ice cream. And then we ate it in a church. And it was the best ice cream I think I've ever had.
That's amazing.
But yeah, so we recorded like a 5-minute conversation. I haven't listened to it yet, so the audio might be awful. But I would love to like sit down and actually have you interview me about my ragbri experience.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe next week.
Okay.
But this week on the podcast, we actually have somebody that I have been a fangirl of on Instagram for a while.
Same.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun to like turn the tables a little bit. And I'm really, really excited to interview this person. And Maggie, you actually brought her to the show. How did you find her?
Instagram stalking. I love a bike situation that feels utterly ridiculous, but somebody's just like, well, I might as well do it because I mean, all you have to do is ride your bike. So, why would I not ride my bike from Michigan to California, right? Yeah. Why would I not do that? I have a bike. I should ride it from Michigan to California.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear the story.
Yeah.
And I wish you all could see Jenn right now on Zoom. I think we might be embarrassing her a little bit or freaking her out. I don't know. But let me read her bio and then we'll start chatting. Sound good?
Yes.
I'm blushing.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so Jenn Levine, otherwise known as Chubby Bike Lady on Instagram, has just completed a ride from Michigan to California. Maggie let the spoiler out, but that's fine.
I did. Sorry, guys.
Interestingly, Jenn cannot ride alone because of her seizure risk, so her kids carried her gear and were her SAG crew. If you're not familiar with SAG, it's support and gear, and we'll talk about that. Yeah. Jenn has lived with epilepsy for much of her life and recently overcame cancer, embarking on the journey to mark a new chapter in her life, all while raising money for the Michigan Epilepsy Foundation, where she was originally diagnosed. Jenn came to bicycling as an adult because as a child, she was plagued by severe epilepsy. Her family was cautious about letting her ride a bike until she was 12 years old. After subsequent falls, they took the bike away and she didn't return to biking until she was 21. Jenn lives in the Bay Area of California and uses her bike to commute every day. Wow. Welcome to the show, Jenn.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Wow. I'm just like blown away by all of that. So where do we start? I don't know. Maggie, what do you think?
Let's just, bikes seem like a good place. How did what is your history with bikes? We heard a condensed version, but
yeah, so I had severe epilepsy as a child, so I fell a lot and my parents it's kind of before the time where kids could be on bicycles that had epilepsy. Now kids with epilepsy get to go to summer camp, get to do lots of different things. But at the time, my parents were like, no, we're not putting you on a bike. So they took the bike away.
Yeah.
And
It's understandable. Risk of fall, and you don't want.
I kept falling and hitting my head and getting concussions. And so like at 21, I read in a magazine, actually 20, I read in a magazine about this woman who had survived a plane crash, and she rode her bicycle from Twin Cities to Chicago for the AIDS ride. It was called the Tanqueray AIDS ride. And at that time, I had never traveled outside of Michigan. And I was kind of like living from house to house, friends to friends. But I had lost a friend to AIDS when I was 18. And I thought, okay, this might be a cool way, and my friends can help me, and I'll go try to find a bike. So I found a bike at a garage sale. I just got a bike. I didn't even know like what kind of bike. And I got a marching band whistle, and I rode up and down Woodward Avenue in Detroit, which if anybody's from Detroit, that's terrifying. And my friends would like, holler out the window, you got 5 more miles. And I just trained up and down, riding up and down Woodward Avenue. And then I did this bike ride. I wore cotton and sweatpants. My first day, I was the last one in camp, and there were people waiting for me at the gate at Tent Village cheering me on. The last one in.
Wow.
It rained that day. I didn't have a rain jacket. I didn't even know I needed a rain jacket. But they cheered me on, and they got me through that. I rode all the way from Twin Cities to Chicago through Wisconsin. At the finish, my friends were there, and it was like such a huge experience for me. And I didn't have any seizures the whole time.
Wow.
Which was pretty big. And from that, I kind of dabbled in cycling. From that, I kind of continued to do a little event here. I thought I had dreams of being a triathlon or triathlete, and then I had my seizures went away for a while, and I learned to drive.
Cool.
Okay.
I kind of moved away from bicycling a little bit. And then my seizures returned and they returned as a surprise. And I had a pretty significant fall and a traumatic brain injury.
Sorry to hear that.
At that time I had to relearn how to do everything. And that was when really I had moved to California at that time. And my community really helped me get, my children and I bicycle so they could get to school. And I had to learn how to bicycle and to sustain myself. I started a company called Two Little Maid because at the time my job that I was currently doing was too stressful to do full time.
Yeah, sure.
And I started a business by bicycle, and that really is what got me back into cycling. As I got stronger, I could go farther. I could see more of California. And it just kept going and kept going. And And then Chubby Bike Lady happened. I kept showing up for bike rides, and people would be like, you do know that we're going over a big hill, right? Like, this is going to be a 10-mile. This is a fitness ride, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know it's a fitness ride. That's why I'm here. Or they would say, well, if she can do it, you can do it. Like not even knowing what I do or how much I ride or where I ride.
Or anything about you.
Really anything, right? And so I would go home and I'd cry. And my daughter was like, I think 9, 10, like preteen at the time, like so cool. She said, you should start an Instagram, mommy. You should start an Instagram called Chubby Bike Lady. And I was like, no. Nobody wants to see a Chubby Bike Lady. She's like, it's not for anybody else. It's for you, because your memory is affected. You can use it like a journal. And then also, like, whenever you're feeling bad, if someone has some crap to say, you can like look and say, look, I did this.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, nobody's going to follow me, but all right. And so I eat Chubby Bike Lady.
Oh my gosh.
That's where I'm at.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It sounds like you raised some incredible kids,
Yes.
who give
Yeah.
out wonderful advice. Because yeah, I mean, that's why I started my Instagram too, was just to, post my stories to myself. Or not, it wasn't even stories at the time, but just post my memories. And then if somebody else got benefit out of it, cool.
Yeah.
What is the
Part of having
reaction?
part of having the brain injury means I can't remember things. So then now it becomes like a visual memory, visual aid for me.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, one second. Apologies for that. So distractible. Well, oh my gosh. Okay, so sorry. I'm gonna back up a little bit here. Your daughter sounds absolutely amazing.
She's
But
so
B,
cool.
what is your experience on Instagram been like? Have people been receptive to it? Do you get any pushback from people? Just curious to hear about that experience.
So sometimes people. So the other day I was out at a ride. And
Sometimes people. Yes.
so
Just
sometimes
that.
I get things like if I wore less clothing, that I'd have more followers, and that's okay for them.
Wait, if somebody said if you wore less clothing, you would have more followers?
Yes, and that's okay. Delete.
It is
I am.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's if for me, like I don't, I just want to, rock it and shred. I just want to shred the way I want to shred, the way my brain can shred, the way my body can shred. Like I want to shred for all the people who have epilepsy, who can't leave their house, or who
Yes.
have Lyme disease and whose bodies hurt all the time. Like I
Mhm.
want to shred for those people. Like I want to shred with my clothes on. If that's fine, that's fine for me. That's how I feel. But like I get things like I mean, I've had some people, like my kids are like, oh, if you have haters, that means you're popular, mom.
Mhm.
So like I look to the children. The children are like, mom, that's cool. You have haters. That's cool. So it doesn't bother me. But I get a lot of really cool people who sometimes I feel they feel inspired by my chubbiness, but then they also feel inspired by my disability. But you know what? It's okay. Like I dig it. I think it's cool. I think that I really I want my kids to see me have fun. I don't know how long I'm going to be on the planet. Like, I don't know. I don't take that for granted. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how long I'm going to be alive. Like, I just want my kids to see me have fun and have joy, and like see me like roll on the bike and see me more than just someone who works all the time and tries to pay the bills and have to hustle all the time. Like, I want my kids to see me play and see me have
Yeah.
fun and see me smile and see me dance when I get to a hard part on a hill. Like I want them to see me, so that when
Yeah.
they're older and I'm no longer here and they think about me, they think about all those complexities.
Yes. And they're going to.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are going to.
Yeah.
I loved the dancing videos at the different state signs with everybody,
Yeah,
dog
that's
included.
because of Ryan Van Duzer. So
Mm.
so so I've always loved Ryan Van Duzer, kind of inspired me to bike tour, but especially so I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer in October, and I was really sad about it. So I lost my mom to ovarian cancer. We all have the BRCA gene, and
Okay.
so like it was really sad because I lost my mom at 55, and this was not it was not I did not it was not a good thing. I was not super positive. I was very upset about it. But the
Yeah.
kids bought me. They knew that Ryan Van Duzer, because I had talked about it, he's gonna release his book. So right before surgery, it was Hanukkah, and so the children got me Ryan Van Duzer's book, and I was like, they're like, you know what? If you get well, then we'll do the ride, and then we'll go see Ryan Van Duzer, and it'll be great because Ryan Van Duzer will sign your book. And I'm like, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to do the ride. Like, I'm not going to be able to do the ride. But back in my head, I was like, I'm going to get better. The kids and I are going to go see Ryan Van Duzer, and Ryan Van Duzer is going to sign my book. Like somewhere in the back of my head, I was like, I'm going to do this ride. I'm going to get through this stupid cancer stuff. I'm going to shelf that, and then I'm going to go have Ryan Van Duzer sign my book. So like that's it. So that's why we danced at all the state lines, because Ryan Van Duzer dances at state lines. I convinced my children to dance, and I convinced myself to dance because I don't dance, but I danced, and they picked the songs. And
Love it.
I dance. A lot of times, if you look at the videos, I'm looking at my daughter like, what do I do?
That's so awesome.
We doing?
I
So,
had the pleasure to meet Ryan Van Duzer. And
yeah, I did too.
oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
I did.
such a cool guy. We definitely need to get him on the podcast if we can. But did you end up getting to meet him?
So, oh my god. So the kids and I sent him an email. He called me on my personal phone. I'm like, I can never delete this. I'm a fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, you're in Boulder? Come to my house. I'm like,
Oh my
no,
gosh.
you can't even
Right.
they're looking at me. They're like, mom, breathe, mom, breathe, mom, breathe. I'm
Yep.
like, this is really for really happening. And yeah, he invited us to his house and the kids were like completely blown away. He was
Right.
super nice.
That's
And he
so
signed the book.
fantastic.
He signed the book,
There
which
you
was
go.
cool. And it was like midway through the trip.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Ryan
What a
Matthews was
moment.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool. And the kids were like really excited because that really kind of got me through.
Yeah.
I mean, the trip was delayed 1 month. I mean, that's it.
Well, we haven't even talked about
So,
the trip yet. So let's
Yeah.
yeah,
let's go. Let's back it up. Back it up. So you had
yeah,
ovarian cancer this past October.
yeah. And I had
Wow.
treatment all the way. By surgery, I had oophorectomy, hysterectomy, and they removed some muscle tissue as well in my abdomen in January 5th.
Of this year.
Wow.
Wow. Holy
And
cow.
so I was off my bike. They took me off my bike for 7 weeks and like 8 days. And I was, it was a lot of time off the bike. And then to get back on the bike, so I had no training. I mean, I had all the training of all the years, but
Right.
Sure.
I didn't like train for this. And I had missed all that work and yeah. So
That's pretty.
I had to do it. I had to do it. I had to do it. I had to
Yeah.
do it.
And
Yeah.
so I have never undertaken a trip of that magnitude. And so I guess I keep saying this a lot, back up a little bit. So you rode from Michigan to California,
Yeah.
with your kids riding or driving SAG.
Yeah.
So how long did the trip take you? I'm just going to ask you some like basic
Mhm.
trip questions, like set
Yeah.
the stage, and then we'll dive in. So
Yep.
how
So
long did the trip take?
I started at Ypsilanti, Michigan, which is where Eastern Michigan University is, where both of us, Jakob and I, both graduated from Eastern Michigan. So he went to my alumni. And then I rode from there. It took 7 weeks. So crazy, just 7 weeks and 3 days.
Wow.
How it works is, for the most part, the children would go, like when we were in the flats, the children would go ahead 40 or 50 miles. They could call me on the cell phone until I lost my cell phone in Kansas. Then we got hunting radios. In the mountains, it got a little scarier because of altitude and
Yeah.
epilepsy. It can trigger seizures. However, I felt tremendously clear. I felt
Fantastic.
so clear. But they still stayed about 5 miles ahead of me, just because I'm climbing and I get tired and fatigued, which can trigger a seizure, or descends are dangerous when you have seizures because I have no
Mhm.
warning. So they were about 5 miles ahead of me. And the deal was, if it took me over an hour to get 5 miles to them, then they would have to come back and find me, or call for me on the
Yeah.
radio.
Yeah.
So we had like a little thing. I would take, I call them forest rest days, because I was so curious, because I had never really, I never really traveled across America.
Mhm.
So I was so curious, I was so excited to see so many beautiful things that, like, I had forced rest days. I call them, I had to rest. Um, I had to rest. So
Yep.
I would take like 1 to 2 days of rest day, and I would get somewhere soft and air conditioned,
Hmm.
so I could really cool my body down. And
Yep.
if we couldn't get air conditioned, we would do ice packs on the body, so I could cool my body down so that
Yeah.
I could rest, really rest.
Nice.
Yeah, it was hot.
So did you primarily camp, or did you do hotels, or did you stay with people? What was your lodging situation like?
So we wanted to do warm showers, but because of the children being in a vehicle, we found it very difficult. However, accessibility wise, like I cannot travel alone.
Right.
It's dangerous for me. So
Yeah.
so it was always like, when we went to warm showers, they're like, "Oh, this is for cyclists." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a cyclist, you know." So
Yeah.
we did a couple like warm showers, but it felt weird to us. Although the
Mm.
people that hosted us were wonderful, but it it looks different. Your finish line, your trip looks different based on your abilities or your, whoever you are, right? So,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
sometimes we did hotels, sometimes we did Airbnbs, sometimes we did warm showers, but a lot of times we did camping and RV camping because I have to have a shower. I have to have a shower.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
love showers, but sometimes I didn't have a shower, so I would, I wash up. But in general, it was just like I liked a combination of things.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
I
How did you
like that. Yeah.
how did you decide what route to take? And like how did you map that out? What did that look like?
So Google Maps is wonderful, but also so is adventure cycling.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
we did a combination of things. So we did some Google Maps. We did the Katy Trail. Oh, oh,
Yeah. You
the
had
Katy Trail.
those Instagram stories had me like drooling.
The
Oh
Katy
my
Trail.
gosh.
Okay,
Wait,
the
do you say
Katy.
the Katy Trail?
Yes, I did the
That's right by
whole
me.
thing.
Oh
I
my
did the
gosh.
whole thing. I love the
So
Katy
pretty.
Trail. I love everyone along the way. One time I came out and there were like these women who were tying up a horse, and I had to check down to make sure that I was still wearing bike shorts. It was still 2023. I was like, for real. It was so wonderful. I love the Katy Trail. I love everything. I love the tunnels. I love the dryness. I didn't love the worm that was on my arm. But I didn't necessarily like the dirt because I'm a city girl.
Mm.
But I loved it. It's beautiful. I tell everybody. I wear my shirt. I have a shirt that says Katy Trail. I'm like, I did the whole thing. You gotta go. Everybody has to go there. I love the Katy Trail. So I did the Katy Trail. I rode over the Eads in St. Louis. I rode over the Eads Bridge listening to the Moana soundtrack, which is awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, Google Maps. They're sketch. And then once I got to Pueblo, Colorado, I did the a Western Express route for adventure cycling.
Okay.
That is tough. That should have warning labels on it. It should say warning, warning. You have to really be friends with the mountains to do that.
Mm. I
Okay.
feel like that's anywhere in the West though. Like, when you get
Yeah,
to Colorado, Utah, that area, Wyoming, like it's just mountains and you
yeah,
gotta get up and over them
yeah,
somehow.
yeah. I kept saying to the children, like, is there any way we could go around this? And Miriam would say to me, Mom, like, no, no, there's no way. And Jakob would say, well, Mom, you can get in the car. And I'm like, I'm not getting in the car. And the whole like thing, um, and the Rockies were so beautiful that like they were worth the suffering,
Yeah.
like you're like, how can America be this beautiful?
Yeah.
Like, how can I be like? And at that point I had lost my iPhone, I had lost my AirPods, and then my debit card was compromised. So then
Oh no.
anytime I needed money, I had to ask the children for money, which was great, by the way. It was so great. So like
Sure.
I'd be like, children can have some money. They're like, yeah, okay, well, we'll get some money. We'll get it was like, and then you like get in the car because you look tired. It was like hanging out with your parents,
Oh my gosh.
uh,
It's like
but
a role reversal. I love that.
yeah, yeah. But Colorado, I feel like Colorado changed me as a human. I
Mm.
had never seen Colorado, but like when you're like, this is really hard. This is really hard. This is really hard. And you're like, this is really hard. This is really hard. And then I was like, wait. I've been through a lot of really hard stuff. Like I made it through like a traumatic brain injury and
Yep.
brain surgery with two children under 12 years old. The same year I had brain surgery, my son had his bar mitzvah. Like I
Wow.
I I just made it through cancer. Like Colorado, it's all right. It's
Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna go like 2.8 miles an hour over these hills, and nobody's gonna check my Strava. In fact, I'm gonna turn off Strava because it doesn't even matter. Because it's never mattered to me.
Yep.
I'm here right now,
Mm.
climbing a hill, and I could be cleaning someone's house right now, but right now, I'm in Colorado. And leaving Colorado, like when I reached the Utah border, I had heat sickness, like
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I cried. The children were like, we're gonna dance, we gotta dance, get out of the car, Mom, we're gonna dance. I'm like, I don't want to dance. I didn't want to because it was my day off
Yeah.
and I didn't want to dance. And they're like, we're gonna dance. I'm like, I don't want to dance. I don't want to
Your
dance.
children sound amazing.
They do.
They're wonderful. I don't know what is, like you asked like the questions. I been working with them with the questions, and they're like, what's the best part of the trip, And I don't know if it was like, as a kid, you sing, like we used to sing that song, America the Beautiful, and Ray Charles does a great job at it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I just never really saw America like I saw it from the saddle of my bicycle at that
Yeah.
pace. And then I also like I've never really seen my kids the way I got to see them, because I work all the time. Having a disability, it changes like how much money you can make and how much you can work and what you can do. And
Mm-hmm.
so like I just changed that for them. I just showed them like that they can do something really hard. Like I'm in a club now of things that not everybody does. And
Yeah.
as somebody who has a severe disability like epilepsy, like I'm in a different club now. They got to
Yep.
see that.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna change their life. So like I don't know what is my favorite part of like they got to see that and be a part of that and like coach me, like
Yeah.
yeah, they're awesome. My kids are awesome. Yeah. They learned a lot about the bike too. They learned a lot about the bike. They still don't like they don't like it. The Yakov does. My son does, but my daughter.
How old are Miriam and Yaakov?
Jacob is 23 and Miriam's 19.
Okay. So a
Yeah.
good age to be able to like watch you do this and like, but also
Yeah.
be supportive of you. Oh,
Yeah.
I just have goosebumps thinking about you taking this trip, and
Yeah.
kind of showing your kids and just,
Yeah. And we were in such a, like, I had just made it through really like cancer
yeah,
and I have epilepsy. And they've
Yes.
seen me sick most of my life, so to see me in power,
Yeah.
was a shift for them.
Mm.
But also like, we had funny times, we laughed, we danced together. I mean, Mormon crickets were hilarious. That whole day was hilarious for Mormon crickets. I let them sag me 40 miles. 40 miles. I'm like, that's it, 40 miles. Uh the Mormon crickets were horrible. The bugs were horrible. The biting flies were horrible. Um, they knew my limits. They
yeah,
knew me well. Like the loneliest road in America, Highway 50, by the way, so fantastic. Nobody's there. No cars.
Okay.
Just ride for miles.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, no red lights, no potholes, nothing for
That's
miles.
amazing.
Yeah, it's like the best trail ever. But it's full sun. It's hot. But I didn't feel lonely because I knew that they were there down the road and
yeah.
that I would see them and that it would be all right, you know?
Sometimes when I'm out on a really long ride or, it's really hard, I have to remind myself that the suffering that we choose on a bicycle is a privilege.
Yeah.
Thinking about all the stuff you've been through, I almost said brain cancer, but the ovarian cancer and the epilepsy and, being an adult in America with a disability, like those are all choices that you didn't get to make necessarily. That was
Right.
dealt to you. But to be able to choose to go on this bike ride and to suffer, like I kind of love that different perspective of like, yeah, I can do hard things and I'm choosing to do hard things.
There's
Uh,
some power. There's power in like waking up in the morning and saying, you know what, today I'm gonna climb really slowly 7,000 feet, and then I'm gonna
Mhm.
descend really fast, terrified, and pray to God that I don't have a seizure on my way down. But then I'm gonna climb again 7,000 feet. Like there
Yeah.
is that's the thing. And my son Yaakov kept telling me in the beginning to write this because we needed to do a GoFundMe to cover the expenses of getting a rental car because
sure.
we don't have a
Yeah.
car. So we needed to rent a car, and that was $7,000 for a rental car to get for that long, right? And so Yaakov keeps saying, you need to write in there that this is not to, you're not someone who needs to face adversity, that you faced adversity enough. And so this is your rest time. And I'm like, Yaakov, we're not going to rest, right? This is going to be rough, right? But like, and that's the thing. This wasn't about adversity. I think there's some power in being able to choose this. There's some
100%.
power and being able to go, you know what, I did this and I chose this. I don't have to leave this feeling wounded, hurt, or victimized by how hard it was. I can say it was hard and like that I rocked it,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
Because you did.
Yeah,
Yes, you did.
I'm just blown away. And I'm also a little bit jealous because I definitely want to do something like this. I'm
do
just
it.
honestly, I'm a little afraid to make the leap.
You know what? Do it. It's hard. It's hot. I will tell you that I sometimes, when I reached the desert, I was absolutely terrified. I thought I lost the children. The children were right behind me. I panicked. You'll panic, you'll get angry, you'll get all the things, all the stories you tell yourself. Those are all there, except there's nothing else to distract you.
Mm,
And the weather is really there and you really feel it. And if you have any type of disability, be conscious of that and prepare. So, for example, we know that heat triggers seizures for me, any kind of dehydration. So, at some point, I was just drinking Pedialyte
mm,
because we were terrified of me seizing. I was like 70 miles from a hospital. And I need Ativan when I have a seizure because I don't come out of them.
okay.
Oh, okay.
So we were riding through the desert, and and the deal was this. I would get up at 4:30. By 9 a.m. it was 111 degrees. So,
Wow.
which is really hard for me.
Yeah.
So I would ride until about 8:30, and then they would put me in the car and give me ice packs from under my armpits and from on my belly, and we would sit there in the car and we would wait all the way to like 5 or 6 o'clock.
Wow.
7 o'clock. And then I would get the bike out. Sometimes there was like no tower. So what do? You just do nothing. Miriam had the best iPhone, of course, because she just had her birthday. So she had like the biggest iPhone. She would always listen to all her music, but whatever. So they get my bike out and they'd be like, all right, drive, mom. And at 7 o'clock, I'd get my bike out and keep riding.
That
So
is incredible.
So because if I rode during the, I would I can die.
Yeah. And we don't want that.
No.
Right. So when you have it, so like there's some I posted the other day on my Instagram about how like resilience, like there was this woman who said that one thing that happens when you have a disability is you learn how to be resilient.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like sometimes you're so angry about that you're so resilient.
Yeah.
But then it
Yes.
teaches you like technique and like, you're like, oh, I don't need a coach because I know that I can't handle anything over 95 degrees and I'm done. So
Yeah.
like, my Garmin's like, we're going to turn off now because it's 111 and we're not like that, And I also learned that I wear black all the time. I'm always wearing black. Guess what? You can't wear black when it's really hot in the desert.
Yeah.
So I had to like go to like shops and get white shirts. I had to learn a lot on this.
Yeah.
But you adapt. You're very smart and you can do it. Don't waste time. Like you're not promised time.
Yeah.
And I learned that. Like my mom died at 55, and when I've been thinking about doing this bike ride with Jakob because I've never been able to be a soccer mom, so I didn't get to drop him off at college. We're so close too. I didn't get to drop him off at college. You had to take a plane there and then Uber and a Lyft and all this, right? I wanted to pick him up from school and take him home,
Yeah.
right? But I couldn't do that. And I was like, I should just ride my bike. And so I had been thinking about it for many years since Jakob first went to school. And then when I got cancer, it made me see like I can't, like I don't have the privilege of time. None of us do. And so if you're thinking about it, you have so many resources. There's so much knowledge and so many people who've done it. Do it. Go for it. And then you'll learn on your way. You'll learn and then you'll know. And then you'll teach someone else,
Yeah. One of the questions we were going to ask you is what advice do you have for other folks who might have epilepsy? But I feel like you just gave us the best answer for anybody, know your limits and figure out what works for you. And it might not look like somebody else's trip, but that's okay.
Yeah. And you know what? Everybody's trip is their trip, and like, you know what? You may not be a camper. You may not like dirt. I don't really like dirt, but I was very dirty. And so I brought water wipes and I washed my body a lot, like I'm triggered by the sun, so I had to wear two things of those sunglasses. And well, unfortunately, all those sun shirts that everyone's wearing, they don't fit bigger arms like mine. So I had to get like 4 or 5 bottles of sunblock and put it on
Mm,
all the time, right? So like, and they're expensive. A lot of
yeah.
things are expensive, and like I wore through 2 or 3 pairs of my bike shorts. So I had to get really creative, and I figured out that if you use a maxi pad and underpants, that you can create a bike short if you need to when you're on the road, and you get creative and you figure things out because you haven't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm good at that because I had a brain injury with 2 children under 12 years old. As a single mom, I can figure anything out at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
but nobody's trip looks the same, and that's okay.
Jen, you might be my hero. Just,
Well, I was going to say, because Marley, you mentioned that you have some trips that you're interested in doing. Like I have two specific big, crazy, insane trips that I really want to do.
Yeah.
And early on in your trip, you made a post. And the whole point of it was like, I'm never going to have the time. The money's never going to be there. So I might as well not have the money or the time now instead
Yeah.
of waiting and not having it later and just never getting to do it.
Mm.
And I remember reading that post and being like, okay, well, that was the last push that I needed. So we're going to start planning these now.
Yeah, there's never going to be the money. There's never,
Yeah,
it's just never, there's never going to be the money. You're never going to have the time off. You're never, dude, nothing's ever going to be in the right spot at the right time.
Yep.
But the time is still leaving us. Like we're
Yeah.
still getting older every year. Baruch Hashem, God forbid we live till we're 70. We have that privilege to live that long. I hope I get to live that long, but I don't know if I'm going to. And if I get to, that means I get to go somewhere else. But like I know what it's like to be broke and to not have the money. And when you hear people say stuff like that, you're like, yeah, nah, I can't do that. But like I was I still worked while I was out. I had a computer and I taught Hebrew at McDonald's. So I teach Hebrew. I don't know. Okay.
I love
In the
it so
middle of
much.
rural Utah, Colorado, Kansas, thank God for McDonald's because they have free Wi-Fi. So do
Yes.
but Starbucks, you go in and they kind of look at you like, buy a beverage. But McDonald's, they didn't bother me. In fact, they always were like, what language are you speaking? Right? So I taught Hebrew on Zoom. So I still getting a little bit of money so that if I taught Hebrew, we could get a hotel each week.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
So
Are you teaching? So I grew up Jewish.
yeah.
Hebrew was very, very challenging for me as a child.
Yeah.
Are you teaching kids for their bar and bat mitzvahs? Are you teaching just like conversational Hebrew? I'm very curious about this.
So I teach all kinds of kids Hebrew, but I also teach Arabic. So I teach both Hebrew and Arabic. My family is Iraqi Jews. So
Okay.
So I teach a combination of Hebrew and Arabic. But this summer I had 5 B'nai Mitzvah students.
Very cool.
And I attended their B'nai Mitzvah on Zoom. One kid, I was in Lake Michigan. Another kid, it was raining. I was in Kansas. Like,
wow.
I went to all their B'nai Mitzvot, even though I was on the bike. It was always like, where's Miss Jenn? Where's Miss Jenn right now? Yeah. So I love teaching Hebrew. I was a
That's so
full-time
cool.
teacher before my brain injury. So
I might have had a different experience with my bat mitzvah if I would have had you as a teacher.
Yeah, I believe in not stressing people out.
Yeah.
It's a different world now. Yeah.
It is. And we can get into this story later. I want to talk to you more later. But I had like switched synagogues in the middle of prepping for my bat mitzvah and like learning new trope and it was just not fun. Yeah. Anyway, not the point of this.
now we meet the kid where the kid is and we go along with the kid. I'm a beloved teacher because I get it.
That's so important and so special. Yeah.
Because I have my own barriers to learning and I need my time too,
Yeah.
But teaching Hebrew in McDonald's. I have so many people now on my Instagram work at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like, can I add you? I'm like, I'm riding my bike across America with my kids. And they're like, your kids are riding and you're driving. I'm like, no, I'm riding. My kids are carrying my stuff. And one lady was like, well, it's about time your kids carry your stuff because I carry out my kids' stuff all the. I was like,
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
So but yet I still would meet people. Like one night I was camping and I met this mom. She had 4 daughters and she was like really into it that I was like riding across America. She said to me right in front of her 4 daughters.
Oh no.
She said, so tell me, how much weight have you lost?
Oh God.
And Miriam looked at me, and Miriam's so fierce. She's like Bay Area fierce,
Yeah.
And she was like, actually, mom doesn't have a scale with her right now, and we don't actually own a scale. Like, that's not why mom's doing it. And I was like, Miriam, be nice. Like, I'm Midwestern. I'm like, be nice. Be nice, Miriam. And this woman was like, oh, but she added me.
And hopefully
Perfect.
she'll get the memo that like we don't ride bikes to lose weight, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't even thought about my weight, bro. I was just like trying to get over that next hill. You know what I mean? Like we just don't. We don't have It's not about the weight. It's about the adventure. It's about being alive. It's about your heart beating. It's about that you do really cool stuff. Like wow. Like my kids tell their friends that I do this rad stuff. Like that makes me. I'm like, you're talking to your friends? Like, are you sure? You don't have to talk to your friends about it. Like, they're like, that's so cool to me that their friends think like that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, they're proud of you, as they should be. I mean, like,
not because I'm skinny or I'm fat or I'm not skinny or I'm not fat or lose weight. That's not on the table. That's my body is my body. Their bodies are their bodies. Our bodies work differently. My brain works differently than your brain. My body looks different, but my body is strong and does awesome shit.
Yep.
Exactly.
Like, so it was so cool to hear Miriam was like, we're not doing that.
It's not a conversation we're having.
Yeah. So, but, and then, the last day, so magical, that somehow the Alameda News found out that I was riding home. And because at first they didn't want to do a story because they wanted to do a series of stories. And, but then I couldn't get a sponsor. But then they found out I was coming home. They're like, whoa, she did this, right? So they were like, oh, okay, we want to meet you at Crab Cove at the end. We're going to get a bunch of people together. We'd like to, and my synagogue had already on the island. They had already, we're like, we're coming out. We're bringing all the families. Woohoo, right? So I decide it's going to be hot that day. I had rode from Folsom to Sacramento, and Sacramento was like 110. It was going to be 120 that day.
Oh my God.
So Sacramento to Richmond was going to be like 120 that whole way. It's 100 miles. Wasn't going to do that. Decided to take a train. I roll into the train station. I see this woman. She's like, oh, are you going to go for a ride today too? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go for a ride, but this is just, I'm at the end of my road, I said. And she goes, oh, so are you just rode to the train station today and then you're going to take your bike home? And I was like, no, I rode across America. And she goes, and she looks at me, because I'm chubby.
Yeah.
Lots of girth. And she goes, you rode across America? And all her friends, they're all wearing kit. They're like, you? And I was like, oh, welcome back. Welcome back, Jenn. Welcome back. I'm like, yes, I just rode across America. And they're like, oh, you're wearing a Moab shirt. I'm like, yes, the chili pepper shirt. I got the chili pepper shirt, right? And they're like, oh, right. So yeah, it's interesting. And then I meet people who don't ride and they're like, you did what? Where? Huh? I can't even on the street, So like it's a mixed bag. Like people are in denial, and it's interesting as a fat person who rides across America. Like people are like, let me see your Strava.
Yeah, prove it to me.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, people do that to me with Unbound and Mid-South. Like, prove that you weren't on an e-bike. And what if I am on an e-bike? None of your dang business.
Right.
We don't have to prove anything to anybody. Yeah.
And one other thing, I was at a bike ride the other day, and someone came in and was like, "Are you Marley Blonsky?" I was the only chubby person there, and I just I'm like, Jakob was with me, and Jakob was like, yeah, she's Marley Blonsky.
Yes.
And it was like, I just like, I wanted to like, but then I was like, okay, it's like every fat person at every ride, Marley Blonsky. Like I wanted to like have a conversation about fat phobia, like
Yeah.
dude, and like I'm like, nah, I got the time. Like so it was a family ride, you know, we were leading the children and teaching them how to shred. And like this one little kid, he was like 2, he rode a scoop like a whole mile. I was like, you're shredding.
That's so awesome.
Right, but then someone thought I was Marley Blonsky. We don't even look similar, but I just
No.
thought that we're both chubby, you know?
Yeah.
So it was
So
all right. I
last
handled it.
year at Steamboat, one of our
Mhm.
Yeah,
teammates who's like 6'2", similar build, but obviously much larger than me because she's
yeah,
6'2", got called Marley. And it's like, I know that this has happened to like my black friends. They get called each other's names
yeah.
all the times.
Because we all look the same. Yeah,
Apparently so. We're all
yeah,
fat people on bikes and we're
yep.
all Marley, which I mean, I'm not
That's kind
mad
of cool
about it,
though.
but also
That's kind of
it is
hot. I was like,
funny.
yeah, that's right.
We
Just
should get
starts,
we
Go
should
ahead.
get shirts made with like the "Hello, my name is" stickers, but it's "Hello, my name is not Marley Blonsky."
yeah.
Ask me my name, bro.
Ask
I'm
me
trying
my
to.
name.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Oh my gosh.
interesting though. It's interesting. Um, to be in this club now. To be
Yeah.
in this club, you know, because I mean, I didn't do it to be in the club. I did it because I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and now people are like, you asked that question down on the bottom of the questionnaire was like, what's next? I'm like, shit. It's like when you just had a baby and people are like, what? You want to have another baby? When are you going to have another baby? It's like, dude, I just burned this. I need some time.
Yep.
Yes.
Like, I need some time to process. It's like, my fear is, I mean, so having a brain injury, it has affected my short-term storage
Okay.
and my long-term storage. So memory is the thing. That's why I have my chubby bike lady, because that's I write extensive notes on my chubby bike lady. That's how I remember everything, right? So I'm so worried that I'm gonna forget this. That like I have friends who are meeting with me and transcribing it. So like we're doing Zoom meetings, and then I tell them stories that come up, and then they transcribe it and they give it back to me. Right?
I was gonna ask,
Um,
like, would you ever
That's
consider writing a
amazing.
book?
I would love to. Access wise, it has to come out in conversation.
Sure.
But like a memory I have is like climbing Tahoe, which has always been really hard for me, but it was so easy, and I was feeling very emotional because I was like water, like because I hadn't seen water in so long. I live in Alameda. I'm surrounded by water. It's an island, right? I'm on the bay. I see water all the time, but I had seen water for so long. When I got to Tahoe, it was like so much water. I was crying. I saw a bear. I saw a couple bears. I'm climbing up the nudie beaches down there, and there's a big all people like to park up top. Some dude just outside of his car with a bowl of strawberries. My first instinct as a city girl was to say, "No, we don't accept strawberries from strangers. We don't do that. We don't accept strawberries from strangers." And then something inside me was like, "No, let's do that. Bottle of water and strawberries. I'm gonna have some strawberries."
Was he naked?
No,
Oh,
but
okay. I got distracted by the nudie beach, and I was like, "Where is this
but you know
going?"
what? I stopped and I thanked them for his strawberries. They were the best strawberries, and they got me over Spooner. Spooner was easy.
Is that a big
Uh,
hill?
Spooner's the
Okay.
big hill, but it used to be really scary for me, but it wasn't. And he gave me water, and he had water, and it was sealed, you know. But it's so funny how like I will never say people from, people
Mm,
this, people that. I was always very cautious to say that, but I will tell you that humans, if you really need to restore your faith in humans, riding your bicycle across America will help you. You know, being attacked by horseflies. I didn't know what horseflies
Mm.
were. I'm a city girl. Some random human at a coffee shop was like, I have some spray in my car. Come, I'll spray your legs for you. You know, like,
Yeah.
and then like people who just genuinely care about you because you're a human. Doesn't matter what they believe or who they are or where they live or whatever. People like, you know, were really nice to me.
I love
And
that.
And I think that's one story that I'm keeping with me, because I think life beats you up sometimes. It
Yeah.
really does. And sometimes it confirms what you really are afraid of, that the world is a rough place, and then you just put yourself in a real vulnerable, it's very vulnerable being on a bicycle, and being on a bicycle as a woman and with a disability that can leave you unconscious and can leave you even more vulnerable, to be out there and to see such kindness, it changes you.
It does. Yeah. I have had similarly, like when you're bike touring, you are incredibly vulnerable, but I think that's when the best in humanity comes out. People just want to help you. And even if it's like, I don't need any help, it's like, do you want strawberries? Sure. That sounds delightful. I'm really happy that you had such a positive experience.
Yeah.
And it warms my little cold, dead heart.
It changed me. Yeah, I'm also like, there's a lot of reasons in life to be bitter and to be cold. It really is.
Yeah.
But these are the times where like we have to put them down for a minute, and listen to people. Like even just listen to the water, listen to the land. Like I really had a lot of. I mean, my iPhone was broken, and my AirPods were broken. So I had a lot of time to not listen to music. I love music.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of time to listen to cars and to the road and to, streams on the side of the,
And
this changes you.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
yes. We are getting to our last two questions. Right before we get to those though, Jenn, when people hear this and want to follow you on all the things and stay in touch, where can they find you? What do they need to know?
Chubby Bike Lady. If I think some people want to follow me on Facebook, but I'm Jennifer Levine, but there are thousands of us. So it's just easier if maybe if you have a friend, or if you have a friend of a friend that has an Instagram, like you can check in with them. And I don't have any other kind of thing yet, but Instagram, I have Chubby Bike Lady.
Yeah.
Perfect. And we'll provide a link to that in the show, along with some of the other things we talked about, warm showers, adventure cycling, the Katy Trail, some of the other things that we talked about as well.
Yes.
I wish you all could see this. Jenn is currently doing a dance on the Katy Trail. So if the Katy Trail folks are listening, I found your new spokesperson.
Yes.
She will evangelize the trail to everybody. Yeah.
And the trail angels, like I got a flat one day, some dude, like I totally can change a flat. This like magical person just showed up to help me, like just hold my flat kit for me so it didn't have to get dusty on the ground.
Oh, that's so kind. Actually, before we go to those last two questions, tell us about the bike you rode.
So this bike was a gift to me. It's a Surly long haul trucker. No,
nice.
Surly disc trucker.
Okay.
It was a gift for me. And it's a great bike. The tires that came stock eventually wore out in Colorado, and then University Bicycles put some Schwalbe marathons on for me.
Nice.
And I went all the way home from Colorado without any flats.
Nice. Was that University Bicycles in Boulder?
Yep.
Nice. I gave a talk there last year.
I forgot what the lady's name was, the female mechanic who did my tune up, but she was amazing. I was just a part of this program for women in the Bay Area. Spokeland gets women mechanics to work with women to teach them how to be mechanics,
nice.
Or fix their own bikes. So
yeah,
I was like, I want a woman mechanic. So yeah,
there you go.
So cool.
Women supporting women.
Yes, exactly. We ask all of our podcast guests two last questions. If you listen to the show, you know it's coming. But what does your perfect day on a bike look like?
Okay, I've been thinking about this, because any day on a bicycle is a good day, but then some days aren't so good. But all right, so here's my favorite day on a bicycle. Get up in the morning. It's early, like 5:30 early before the sun rises. So in the Bay Area, it's still kind of wet and foggy and dewy, you know? And I roll into my coffee shop. I have a coffee and a bagel with sprouts, extra sprouts, right?
Okay.
And then I head to the BARTs, probably head to the city, or head to San Francisco, or I head to Marin to do some climbing. So climbing early is nice because you don't get too hot. And then I spend the whole day riding, maybe go by the water. I love water. And maybe I get some lunch somewhere that has really good sandwiches or something like a cold lunch because I love cold food. I'm just out all day. And then I roll in the evening and have a really nice dinner. And it's super chill. No work, no errands. Just ride all day long. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
That does sound like the perfect day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like to be with others. I like to be with people. I like maybe one or two people.
Yeah.
People
Nice.
that I really dig, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that you get along well with and can ride together with. That's perfect.
Always nice.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last question. If there was one thing that you could talk to people more about that you wish more people asked you about, what would that be?
We're making her dig deep.
Yeah.
Ask me the question one more time.
If there was any one thing that you wish more people would either ask you about or listen to you talk about, what would that be?
I think my life. I think I would like to talk about my life. I think we all like to tell our own stories, and I think we like to feel heard. I think everyone wants to feel heard, but I think people in general are so busy, do, that we don't get a lot of chance to just like be and like listen to each other. And I think that's like the magic of being human is like we carry all these stories and we generally don't get to share them until we're an elder.
Yeah.
And I think like there's a lot of magic in women sharing with each other and people generally just sharing with each other. But I love storytelling.
Yep.
And I have a hard time with writing. I'm better at talking. And so I also have a lot of really beautiful memories of a lot of bicycles. I know you would ask me what is my favorite trip. Like one of the questions was what was my favorite trip? But like every trip is my favorite because it means I got to go.
Yeah.
You know, I got to go. I got to see it. You know, and like I get to collect all those wonderful things. And I think that if I could have anybody. Like if I could talk about anything, it would be like my experience of being Jenn or my experience of being in the world on the bicycle or just my experience of being in the world as myself, you know.
Awesome. Jenn, it has been an absolute delight to chat with you. And I think you should tell your story. I think you should write a book. I would read it. I would listen to your stories. It sounds like you've had a fascinating life. And thank you for sharing it with our All Bodies on Bikes listeners.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you can find Jenn at Chubby Bike Lady on Instagram. We will have a link to her profile in our bio. You should definitely check out her Instagram. She's got a lot of fun stories from her ride across America, some dancing. You could hear what the Mormon cricket story is all about on there. But thank you so much. And if you enjoy the podcast, please make sure you subscribe. Is that what we decided? Subscribe,
I think
follow.
So. Yeah.
Give us a rating because it helps other people find the show. Share it with your friends. And tell us who you want to see on the show. Send us an email, podcast@allbodiesonbikes.com. Or if you have any questions for us or topics you want us to tackle. Welcome back from summer vacation, kids. The show is back in session. So
yeah.
Right. Thanks, Jenn.
Thank you.
Yes. This is an All Bodies on Bikes podcast powered by Feisty Media. The show is produced by Maggie and Marley and edited by the team at Feisty Media. Thanks for listening.